2. What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked on Buckeyes for the Locked on Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is a Wednesday, April 7th in the year 2021. And today is a good day for a couple reasons. One, your boy got new glasses and the new look is looking good on me. But number two, most importantly, 2 Buckeyes lost their black stripe in yesterday's practice. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at JSteven07. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter as well at Locked on Buckeye. Lined up for today in segments 2 and 3. We finished what we started yesterday, talking about the proper way or a good way to build a roster. Is it recruiting or with the transfer portal? Speaking about the basketball team. We begin today's show about that very thing I mentioned maybe about 20 seconds ago. 2 more Buckeyes have lost their black stripe. The first one came yesterday. A young man that was at Ohio State last season, but did not play and could not lose his black stripe because he was injured the entire time. Was unavailable for all 8 games during last season. You know what? As I think about that, it's very odd to say that Ohio State only played 8 games last year. I don't forget what everybody else did. I'm still not used to what took place last season. I am not. I know we hope it never happens again. What took place last year, man, that shocked me. That shocked you. And I surely hope we never have a season like that where the Buckeyes only play 8 games and where any games have to get canceled. Back to business. Young man yesterday, first black stripe to come off of the season a couple days ago, was a young man, Cowan, that was already at Ohio State but could not play last year. The first true freshman, newcomers, incoming guys, early enrollees, lost their black stripes yesterday. There are 2. One you may expect. The other you may have thought another offensive player would have lost his black stripe. Before him, Jack Sawyer, Marvin Harrison Jr. Almost made a Harrison-Kyle McCord connection, but I'll save that for when we highlight Harrison Jr. Jack Sawyer, he is the highest rated prospect in Ohio State's class, according to 24/7 Sports, a 5-star player who is the number 1 overall player in Ohio, the number 4 player nationally in his class. Unfortunately, he was not able to play. He did not play his senior year at Pickerton Central. As a junior, he was the OCC Ohio Division Defensive Player of the Year, and he had 37 tackles, 19 TFLs or tackles for loss, and 13.5 quarterback sacks. This is one young man that I am thoroughly excited to see and watch and wait and see what it is he does once he's on the football field. One thing about him playing defensive end, there's a lot of talent there. 6'4", 240, bulking up. Does it happen? Does he transition to inside linebacker? I don't know. I know he's fast. I know he's elusive. I know he's a really good athlete. What will we see from him down the road as far as him as a Buckeye? I'm not sure, but I'm very excited. He is, might I add, the first defensive player, newcomer that is, first true freshman defensive player to lose his black stripe this season. The other one, Marvin Harrison Jr. I thoroughly enjoyed watching his dad play the football there for the Indianapolis Colts when his dad played. 8-time All-Pro, NFL Hall of Famer. When you have that track record, when you have that pedigree, when you have that guy in the home, not just teaching you and helping you raise you, but also helping you on the football field, and you play the same position, you can hear the excitement in my voice. I'm excited to watch this young man play the football. Marvin Harrison Jr. He is also the teammate, might I add, the high school teammate of Kyle McCord. I know for a fact, or I'm sure, this was a rivalry. This was a battle to see who lost their black stripe first. Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver, 6'3", 202-pound true freshman, lost his black stripe first. He is the first offensive player, true freshman, to lose his black stripe. I want to give numbers really quickly. Always want to give numbers when we go through a black stripe reveal and what someone loses theirs. Jack Sawyer, number 33. Marvin Harrison Jr., number 18. He was a four-star prospect, the number 91 player in the country based off of 24/7 Sports. He is a top-ranked wide receiver in the state of Pennsylvania. He finished his high school career 2,625 receiving yards, 37 touchdowns, both of which were Philadelphia Catholic League records. He caught 144 career passes. He teamed up with Kyle McCord, and they both won 3 straight Pennsylvania 6A state championships. Marvin Harrison Jr. had 8 receptions for 156 yards and 2 touchdowns in this year's state title game. It was a win over Central York. I loved watching Marvin Harrison play the football. I have seen some clips. I'm sure you may have as well. Some clips of Harrison Jr. on the football field. I believe he caught a pass. I believe it was from McCord. It may have been Stroud. I believe it was from Stroud in the back left corner of the end zone doing a red zone drill. These two young men, a 5-star, a 4-star. The stars are littered all throughout Ohio State's roster. I don't get too enamored, too caught up into the stars going from a 4 or a 5-star. Yes, I know it's the caliber of recruit, but I believe these will be 2 young men, 2 athletes that you and I will grow to love watching play football in the shoe as they wear the Ohio State Buckeye jersey. Who will be next? I know some of you may have thought Travion Henderson will be the first true freshman to lose his black stripe on the offensive side of the ball. When will that happen? Will it be soon? Will it be today? As you're listening to this podcast, you might get an alert on your phone. Oh, another black stripe alert. And this is who that young man is. That's to be determined, but excited for Sawyer, Cowan, and Harrison Jr., 3 individuals that have lost their black stripes during this year's spring football practice. We'll step away very quickly. When we come back, we will continue what we started yesterday. Yesterday was about high school recruits, about what is the best route to build a basketball team. Today, the transfer portal. But first, check this out. There's a good chance you're somebody like me that is looking and searching for the perfect, and I mean literally the perfect protein bar. You know, the one that fits your macros and hits just right, and it tastes like a candy bar as well. And one thing about Built Bar that I like, their bars are covered in 100% chocolate, and they're soft and easy to chew. Built Bar is great for the health-conscious guy. It'll help you lose and maintain weight while indulging in a delicious treat. Bars are low-calorie, low-sugar, high protein, high fiber, great for the keto diet. Go to BuiltBar.com and use promo code LOCKED15. That's LOCKED15. And you'll get 15% off your next order. Once again, use promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15 for 15% off at BuiltBar.com. Get all the sports news you need in under 20 minutes with the new Locked On Today podcast. Host Peter Bukowski updates you on the latest news in every major sport with the help of our local experts. Follow the Locked On Today podcast on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast. If this is your first time listening or watching Locked On Buckeyes, I want to say welcome. Or if it's your first time in a long time watching or listening to the podcast, I want to say welcome back. Locked On Buckeyes is a daily podcast covering the Ohio State Buckeyes. Drops new fresh episodes every Monday through Friday. And in a way to help you have more ways to consume Locked On Buckeyes, Locked On Buckeyes now has a YouTube channel solely devoted to the podcast. Search Locked On Buckeyes on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and you'll be updated and alerted every time a new video comes out. Just like the podcast, there are videos uploaded daily. Check WKYC.com, WKYC on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, the Odyssey app. So many ways to consume Locked On Buckeyes on a consistent daily basis. The best way, or what is the best way to build a basketball roster in 2021? Yes, when I was a kid, it was all about the high school recruits. I remember when I was in high school, there were young men that were trying to go from playing high school basketball at my high school to go play collegiate basketball. I know some young men in my area. I happen to grow up in an area there was so much high school basketball talent. It's the same way right now. CJ Walker just got done playing basketball at Ohio State, was able to watch him win a state championship his sophomore year in high school. And then also, I was also there when he lost and played his very last game in high school. I was also there at the time. Greg Golden, Mike Conley, when they were winning championships there at Lawrence North. Also, Eric Gordon, got to see him play as a freshman in all 4 years as well. Jeff Teague, another young man. Trust me, the Central Indiana area, there's a lot of good basketball played there still to this day. But that's how it was back at that time. The high school route, that was it. Yes, players transferred, but nobody back then wanted to really sit out a year if they didn't have to. I mean, my own brother played football, started at Thomas More. He transferred to Butler University, a D1 AA or FCS school, and he had to sit out a year. But he knew what was going to happen. He knew that if he made this move, he would have to sit out. I believe he wanted to be closer to home, and he wanted to play with some of one of his high school friends as well. Both matched up, and he was able to transfer, but he did sit out. Right now, there's a one-time transfer rule that you're able to do without sitting out. A new rule, and my goodness, are these athletes taking advantage of it? From simply hopping in and seeing what the talk of the town is, seeing if it makes sense for them to. Having trouble hearing you. Sorry, Siri, I'm getting a little excited. To go from sitting a year, for not sitting a year, lost my train of thought. Give me a second. Siri got me off track. To go from, do I want to sit a year or no, you don't have to. The one-time transfer rule, it allows players a lot more freedom. Is that the best route to build a team, though? If you're thinking about the transfer rule, the one-time transfer to get athletes like a Jamari Wheeler. Remember, CJ Walker had to sit out a year when he transferred from Ohio State to Columbus. Justin Fields, however, did not. There was back and forth. It was very confusing on how the NCAA awarded and allowed players to not have to sit out, and some players did. Very confusing because there was no concrete data or a step-by-step guide on what was going to help them make the decision for each situation. But if I'm Chris Holtmann, I'd be very, very careful about roster management when it comes to the transfer portal. We have seen transfers, Jimmy Sotos, Abel Porter, Justice Suing, Seth Towns. You've seen numerous ones. Who was the one that's most prominent on the court for Ohio State this year? Justice Suing. What did you have with the other ones? Unfortunately, the other ones all had medical issues. One, Seth Towns, you knew what he had before he transferred, and he still transferred in, and he never fully recovered from the knee injuries that he had when he was at Harvard. But also, what else did you have? Abel Porter didn't play. Medically was not cleared to play. Jimmy Sotos, unfortunately, now he looked decent, looked okay, was finding his groove with the basketball team, trying to find more minutes, and the minutes that were early on for him, nobody, myself, could understand what Chris Holtmann was doing, but he did get injured as well. So if you go to the transfer portal, it could be a win, it could be an okay situation, or it could be a loss. But the transfer portal is great. You get guys like Jamari Wheeler, this young man that just committed to go from Georgetown, a big man that I was hoping Ohio State could get. Forget his name at the moment. But from Georgetown to Maryland makes a lot of sense. You stay in the area. He probably has family over there. So going from Georgetown to Maryland, hey, it's okay. Now, Maryland's also losing, or Daryl Morcell recently went into the transfer portal. Trace Jackson Davis was in the portal, was unsure what he's going to do. He is now in Indiana. Armand Franklin, some other guys there. Once Archie Miller was fired, they weren't sure what their next venture or journey was going to be. So they're the transfer portal. Over 1,100 at one point were in the transfer portal in college basketball. That is a lot. You risk one of two things. One, a guy who doesn't want to compete. I know a lot of guys are in the transfer portal. They want to transfer because they don't want to compete at all. They don't. The matter of fact thing of competing to try to fight for your job, for your position, Nobody likes, a lot of people don't like that at all. They don't. So they go to the transfer portal, try to go the easy route to make the best route or the best decision for them because competing, no sir, Bob. They don't want to do that. But you also have not just guys that don't want to compete, guys that just are hungry to play for you. So you have guys that don't want to compete, but then guys that want to go play for you. They're hungry, they're thirsty, they're scratching, they're clawing, hopefully not biting, literally, maybe figuratively, for every second on the court. The transfer portal is very, very big right now in college football as well. College basketball season just ended, which is why the college basketball transfer portal is very, very big. If I'm Chris Holt, and roster management is one of my things right now, and I have to try to figure out how to get a big man. If I go out and have to try and get a big man, you may get a guy that's a one-year guy. Most transfers are not like CJ Walker, where you're going to get 2 seasons out of them. A lot of guys nowadays, you're only going to get one season, and you gotta make the best of it. Seth Towns can come back. Soto's can come back. These guys can't come back because they didn't lose a year of eligibility. But if you're going to go to the transfer portal route, what is on your mind? What do you think is the best thing to do? Transfer portal, Ohio State hold right now, the big man. So they go the big man route to go get a big man out of the transfer portal to come to Columbus. Let's say they get somebody. Penn State, John Harrer. He comes to Ohio State to play basketball for Chris Holtman. It's going to be a cycle that goes over and over and over and over again. Think about your own life. Temporary fixes are just that, temporary, not long lasting. They don't sustain. And so if you go that route, you may get a guy to come in. Oh, I need a defensive stopper on. I need a stopper on defense. I got that guy. Oh, I need a big man. I got that guy. Oh, I need somebody to help me on the wing. I got that guy. And you can fill your roster out completely with guys to the transfer portal. And ultimately, it's the same cycle over and over and over and over again. Which one is right? Which one is the best way to build a roster? A mix or one or the other? Stick around and you will find out. But first, check this out. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sports action. Football might be over, but NBA, college basketball, and even the NHL are in full swing. BetOnline even covers awards, TV shows, and reality TV. Real-time updated odds and props on almost anything you can imagine. BetOnline has you covered for all the news, scores, and odds. It's the best way to place your bets. And guys, it's even free to sign up. Head to betonline.ag on your computer or mobile device. And when you sign up, make sure you use promo code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Once again, betonline.ag. Go there on your computer or mobile device. And when you sign up today, make sure you use promo code LOCKEDON to receive your 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, your online sports book experts. It's April, and the Locked On NFL network of podcasts is shifting into draft mode. April 19th through the 26th, tune in to the Ultimate Mock Draft 2021, featuring analysis from NFL experts Michael Irvin, Brian Baldinger, and Michael Lombardi. Stay tuned for more info about where you can find the Ultimate Mock Draft 2021, presented by Odyssey and the Locked On Podcast Network. Guys, come back tomorrow. Come back Friday. We're going to have a lot of fun here on Locked On Buckeyes. You can follow me on Twitter at jsteven07. But I want to make one quick reminder. The show's not over yet. I want to remind you, go to YouTube, search Locked On Buckeyes, hit the subscribe button, watch a video or two or all of them as you help the show keep growing and growing and growing. Another way to help the show grow, 5-star reviews. Very simple. Pull the phone out, hit 5 stars, type a comment in, hit submit, whatever the button is. You're golden. You're good to go. You're helping others learn that this is a great place to stay up to date with the Ohio State Buckeyes. The Ohio State Buckeyes, the basketball team, they have a hole, a big hole in the hole is a big man. They need one. Kyle Young, if he comes back, does that help them? Yes, but they still need a big man. EJ Liddell, if he comes back, does that help them? Yes, but they still need a big man. 6'8", 6'6" to 6'7", 6'8" Kyle Young, 6'6" EJ Liddell, 240 EJ Liddell, 225 Kyle Young. Yes, Kyle Young is versatile and he does help Ohio State in different ways on the court. He was thoroughly missed during the games that he missed that he was not able to play at the end of the season. But however, Ohio State has a hole. Guess what it is? A big man. You are correct. Ohio State's big man problem, it was seen all year long. Not a problem in every game, but it was still seen in all year long. If I'm Chris Holtmann, and roster management is something that's at an all-time high right now in collegiate sports due to the one-time transfer rule that recently got put into place, I myself, guys, am trying to get me a recruit out of high school. I ain't trying to keep going through this one-year cycle. Ooh, this big man there or that big man there. Yes, it could help. Yes, you could do it. But I personally would go the high school route. Now, let's just say that Chris Holtmann can get the high schoolers that he wants, and the high schooler that comes in, he quickly sees he can't start. He can't be there day one. Roll with what you got. Or recruit better. Try different tactics. You don't want to keep losing big men to other schools. Now, granted, the young man from Georgetown, if he wants to stay in Maryland for that reason to stay by his home, so be it. I get it. At the same time, there's a battle you're fighting in the Big Ten, but not just in the Big Ten, all around the country. There's one thing that I said all year long when it was reiterated during the NCAA tournament. Just Ohio State. Ohio State's guards aren't good enough to take you deep into the tournament. They aren't good enough this year, the team just seemed like they fell flat against Oral Roberts, and they still only lost by 3 points, but the team just wasn't there. But however, you get a good lead guard that can take over, that can score, that's feisty, that's shifty, that can play sticky defense and lead you in scoring as well. That's the kind of guy you want for the NCAA tournament. Also, the kind of athletes we saw in the NC2A tournament, Ohio State doesn't have a lot of those athletes. They have guys that are good, but their Big Ten athletes aren't like everywhere else in the country. Not at all. Myself personally, I fell into the trap of believing in Big Ten teams. I believed in Illinois because of Ayo Dosunmu. He's not your average Big Ten guard. Look at all the other schools. The guards around the country, a lot of them are not like the guards inside the Big Ten. Chris Holtmann, long-term project guy, plan on being at Ohio State for a long time, dabble a little bit in the transfer portal, but for long-term success, I believe you got to have a mixture. High school recruit, transfer portal. Keep a good balance. If you have too much of the transfer portal, man, it's a lot of chemistry building at the beginning of the season. Yeah, it could all fix itself and be put together towards the middle of the season. That's a lot of extra work you're doing early on in the year. However, you also don't want to have a team full of freshmen, John Calipari style. Now, he did build up the one and done, and those guys there, they were one and done coming in. They knew it, and they were very successful in college going on to the pros. A lot of them have been decent pros as well. Good mix. I wouldn't say overload your team with the transfer portal, but I would say you want to have a good mix of few transfer portal to keep things fluid in leadership and experience on the team, but also you got to develop talent. I'm excited. We've seen Washington Jr. develop. We've seen Justice Suing develop right in front of us. We have seen EJ Liddell develop right in front of us. We are going to see, I do believe, the development of Zeb Key. Guys that came into Ohio State that have just been getting better and better and better. You got to have those guys coming in. Malachi Branham, Kalen Etzler, excited about them coming to Columbus. Junior, his progression, I've been hard on him, but he has progressed every year statistically and on the court while he has been in Columbus. Fine line, a good mixture of the two. A few transfers, go out there and try and get some guys. Also, Keep your recruiting bet hot. Keep it fresh. Make sure you keep those connections in high school, because you never know when you might need to call a coach and say, hey, coach, how was this guy? And the coach will give you an honest answer because you did him right previously. Thank you guys so much. This here is the end of the show here on Locked on Buckeyes, guys. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at jsteven07. Follow the podcast on Twitter at Locked on Buckeye. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Locked on Buckeyes. Daily show video up, just like this daily podcast audio forms on your favorite podcast listening platform. Come back tomorrow and Friday. We'll wrap up this week and end this week on a high note, as we always do, guys. It's a good time to be a Buckeye. I'm excited about spring practice, and I'm excited about what's to come here on the podcast.